Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast. I'm Liam, your host, and we're here for our first review of the week, football of the year. Sorry, football is back. And I'm joined by a man. I don't know if he's got any sleep yet, but he's come all the way from a banner ceremony, watching his disgraceful defensive tackle spit on one of the nicest quarterbacks in the NFL. Is of course Mr. Muggs NFL. Patrick, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good. I'm very good. I got a good night's sleep last night, so I feel more alive today.
Yeah, for context, everyone, we were going to record this yesterday, but I had something come up, and Patrick was very relieved because how many hours of sleep were you probably working off yesterday?
0 for 2 days in a row. I didn't really sleep the night before either, so I was running on empty a little.
You've recovered now. You've taken Gatorade and you're recovered. How was Thursday night? We're not going to go. That's not going to come up in any of our categories for today's.
No, I did say to you last week, Thursday night football is irrelevant when it comes down to the weekend review show. But it was good. It was really good. The atmosphere was amazing, to be honest with you, for the ceremony. I might have got a bit of lump in my throat. Not sure if I was thirsty or emotional, but that was great, to be honest. But when the weather delay happened after that, it was pretty flat and it was just about hanging on to the victory. To be honest, that's all that mattered, is just get a few first downs, run the clock, and then let's get out of here.
How long was the delay? Because I watched it the next day.
1 hour and 20 minutes. Obviously, it was already around 10:30, I think, when the delay happened. So then it kind of kicked back off near midnight again, and it was a tough sledging. A lot of people left actually during that. I'd say at least 15,000 people left during that break. Yeah,
because you don't really have an idea when it's going to end, do you? Because they don't give you a exact time frame, isn't it? Kind of like an estimate, and all of a sudden you get told to go back to your seat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then there was a big rush back to the seat anyway. So yeah, it was a spectacular thunderstorm. I will say that, but yeah.
It kind of ruined the game because the first half there was loads of points and it was exciting, and the second half it was absolutely dead as a neutral.
Yeah, so I have no idea what would have happened had that rain delay not come, because it wouldn't have finished 24-20. I can guarantee you that, because both teams were flat as pancakes when they came back, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you got that from the telly, to be honest. You could tell. Any views on the despicable character Jalen Carter that should be banned for multiple weeks, including next week?
Yeah. Do you know what? Didn't even know what had happened until half time, because no one could get any signal around. Okay. So we kind of didn't know. We knew he'd been ejected because you could see Big Dom was walking him off. I was like, that's not good, is it? But it's just disgusting, that, and in any walk of life, it's one of the most disgusting things that you can do. So yeah, there's no I'm glad, you know what, no one's defended it. No Eagles super fan on Twitter or anything has tried to defend it at all. So it's
it's the reason why he fell to 9 in the draft. Someone who was the best player in the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
some character issues for him. The craziest thing I will say, I don't know if you felt like this, American pods have not seemed like it's that big of a deal, but in our sports, this would be like getting banned for 10 games, or do you know what I mean? Like Suarez and people like that. Whereas all the ones I listen to are like, I just give him a fine and move on. Like, it happens in the heat of the battle. Like, that must be a British thing, because on our sports, if that ever happens, it's just like the end of the world. Whereas everything I've listened to, not saying anyone's defended him, they've been like, you should never have done it, he's in the wrong. But kind of on to the next thing, because it doesn't matter. He's just, it's not that big of a deal. But that must be a cultural thing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, on ESPN, like on the TV the next day, it was about that for a little bit, but you could tell that they were, let's move on to the Chiefs game tonight, that we can talk about something else, sort of thing, but Sky Sports would have hammered that for a week if it had been like a Liverpool or Man United or something like that. It'd have been ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd have been who's that? That's Mo Salah in this regard, the best player on the championship winning teams. It wouldn't have gone. It wouldn't have gone very well. But yeah, you got the win. That's all that matters. More than my team could say. And you enjoyed the experience despite the thunderstorm, which is good.
Yeah.
We're on to week 3, and we're on to Jackson Dart potentially. More on that maybe later. But today's our first review pod, so we're not going to talk about every game like we've done in the past. We want to try and spend a bit more time on certain games. So we've got some categories. So we've got game of the week, which we'll both pick a game each that we think was the best game or the biggest story across the week. We've got shock of the week. That could be good or bad, or we'll both pick something that was a bit crazy or something that surprised us for this week. And then the next one is the hot seat for this week. This could be anyone who's at risk of anything, a GM, a coach, a player, whether it's their job, their reputation, whatever. And that's going to be Patrick's section, where he's going to surprise me. And as long as week one's not Patrick Mahomes. If week one's Patrick Mahomes, we're going to delete this section. And then we're going to end with around the NFL in 10 minutes or so, where we talk about briefly the other scores that we haven't touched on that are probably quite relevant to that week. But before we start with that, I have to announce that the week one results were 10 points to me, 7 points to you after your victory last season. With the Falcons, Texans, Ravens, and Bears scuppering you. But you're on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick would say, and thinking about week two already, right?
Yeah, I mean, I must have been within a couple of points of each one, so I'm happy with it. I can see why I would have picked those, but there's some disappointing teams in that, by the way, in the picks.
Yeah, and our joint picks were pretty bad as well. So our joint picks of Dolphins, Patriots, Bengals, Chiefs were all quite bad. So
the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, we did.
Terrible.
We need to take a long, hard look at ourselves, I feel like, for next week with that one.
For sure.
Daniel Jones scuppered us mentally with that one. Cool. Let's get into our categories then. Game of the week. Kick us off, mate. What have you picked as the...
you want me to go first? I'm going to pick what I thought was my game of the week. It's probably not the game of the week, which you're going to talk about. It's obviously huge implications. I'm going to go the 1 p.m. Eastern time slate, 6 p.m. in the UK. New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe that this was live on Sky as well. This was a great game. When we played out the whole season in 4 months' time, this will be one of the most surprising set of scores, I think. 34-2. You would have never chosen that. With Rodgers at quarterback, with Fields, we're not sure what we're going to get. But this game was, I was sad that the Jets didn't win, to be honest with you. There's been a lot of moral victory things for the Jets in the aftermath of this game, and I hope they don't I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to settle for that, to be honest with you, just moral victories. He would be bitterly disappointed that they didn't win this game. Justin Fields was great, 16 of 22, 218, no interceptions. The ground game was really, really good. As Breece Hall, by the way, looked like Breece Hall from 2 years ago, which is a good sign.
Good. Really good.
He looked really good. Garrett Wilson looked like he had a good connection. Just the kickoff return fumble and just the little things just went their way. They didn't go their way, didn't it? Kind of the drop of the ball. And it's a real shame that they did that. But take nothing away from Pittsburgh or even Aaron Rodgers, because they did that with no run game, by the way, Pittsburgh. The run game was absolutely woeful. And to get the play action working as it did, really, really good. I mean, he was pretty faultless, Rodgers, wasn't he? 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah, it was. It was almost like the bad part of the Jets offense followed him, that they can't run the ball because he's not a threat to run it. They know he wants to throw it short, so they crowd the line of scrimmage and running it becomes hard. But to be fair, play action pass, something everyone was concerned, will he want to turn his back and throw the ball? He did that 3 or 4 times. He threw the ball deep down the field. He was quite efficient on 3rd down. He was quite aggressive on 1st down compared to what he was like last season. Yeah, it's obviously not vintage Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he could have played much better in this circumstance of a new scheme, bit of a rivalry. I don't think his weapons are obviously great. And the run game, like you said, was absolutely dead. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the running back position there, by the way, because it's like Gainwell seems to be higher up on the pecking order than people think. They didn't use the rookie that much. But yeah, you're right. Rodgers was really good and had a hell of a press conference quote to end the evening. I assume you've seen the quote that he said.
Yeah, something about being happy to just beat everyone in the Jets organization.
Everyone who's associated with the Jets, yeah. The world's better when Aaron Rodgers is being horrible and good, not just horrible and bad. So that's a positive. But yeah, he did play pretty well. And he threw the ball around to everyone, didn't he? It wasn't just DK. It was everyone was getting touches. I think Calvin Austin got 4 receptions or something when I looked at the stats. So
right, with Jay Wallace. But Ben Skoranek scored the first touchdown as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that's such a Steelers signing. But yeah, this game was super fun. The ending was entertaining. The special teams have killed the Jets. They were gonna win that game if it wasn't for that. What do you make of the last play? We're obviously part of the associated with the Full 10 Yards Network, and in the group chat, I had a bit of an argument as a Justin Fields defender. They said he all should have ran for the first down. Looking at the replay, I'm like, I'm not sure he's getting to the sticks. I think that was a very good throw, and if Josh Allen or Lamar or Mahomes did that throw, everyone would say it was super smart. But Ramsey just made a better play, right? For me, I'm not sure he could run for it. I don't know if you see it differently.
Well, there's 2 defenders right there at the sticks, right? And they're in close proximity to each other. It doesn't look like he's able to cut easily past them. So the easy thing, right, is to throw to the wide open man. And Jalen Ramsey just makes, well, I mean, when was the last time he made like a game-ending play like that? It's a few years. So that was, I can see why people would think that Fields should just take off. However, I feel like the win rate for that is lower than just kind of making a simple pass where he puts it on the money, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I can see
It's
why.
just funny because he's been criticised for so long for not passing in those situations.
Yeah.
And then one time he does is this negative view of it. But yeah, he was great. That's probably the best I've seen him play. Then we both like him. I don't think I've seen him play as well as that. Down the field, middle of the field, play action, non-play action. He ran the ball as well, but didn't, not overly. I thought that was the best I've seen Rodgers play in 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever that last Packers game was. But it's the best I've probably seen Fields play as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that gives the Jets something to work with, right, for the rest of the season. Like I said about kind of moral victories is not all what you want, but surely in that building they must think we have a path to victory here with Justin Fields, not just running the ball, but he just helps you in the run game so much. Kind of like Philadelphia in a different way where Hurts's running ability just helped out the run game Philadelphia so much. So it's just, that'd be interesting. They've got the Bills coming up this week. I think that's going to be a more difficult game for Buffalo than it looked a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Allen and Brees, if he looks like he did this week, they'll be able to run the ball well. And I think Fields obviously has always been able to run the ball well. And if he can pass like he did in this game, I think that's a good sign. But yeah, it was still a good win for the Steelers for sure. Puts them on the right footing. Yeah, neither defense looked great, I guess, if you look at the score. But I think they'll both feel like as defenses, they'll get better throughout the year because on paper, they're both strong. So I think it's pretty positive. Nice to see Garrett Wilson as well, by the way, catch some passes. I wasn't sure what we were going to get from him this year, but he was good as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it's good to see. Good and positive. It's nice to be positive, I think, for teams that are, well, especially the Jets, not been great we're going 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed. Cool. You alluded to it earlier. I have picked the actual game of the week. I've gone for the Bills and the Ravens, of course. We couldn't do a pod about week one where we didn't speak about these two teams. The Bills win 41-40 with a last-second field goal from Matt Prater. I think, by the way, it's kicked more 50-yard field goals now and 30-yard field goals than anyone in NFL history. He's been playing for like 19 years. I think they said on the broadcast, which was crazy. But yeah, story of this game really is the comeback that the Bills had. I think they were down 40-25 at one point. Obviously scoring those 16 points unanswered. Some of that was Josh Allen magic. Some of it was Cook as well, who had an incredible, well, it wasn't a run, but it was pass catch, then get down to the 1 yard line. And then the Derrick Henry fumble, followed by a 3-and-out from Baltimore, really set the Bills up here. So Derrick Henry, by the way, not immune to. Like, he did that in the playoffs as well. He has those one kind of fumbles in big games throughout the season, to be honest. But yeah, this game was incredible. We'll talk about both teams' defenses because I think they'll both be worried about this. One of the teams had a lot more injuries than the other, but yeah, the quarterbacks looked incredible. The offenses look incredible. It feels like it's been 3 years of both coaching staffs fine-tuning their offense, and now for me, they've probably reached as good as they can get. Like, it feels like, I don't know how you feel watching this, mate, but like when the Chiefs, I know that last year's game was a bit different with the blowout, but Chiefs-Eagles play each other in that other Super Bowl. It's like, you still feel like they're not going to score on every drive, and you're like, when you do score, it feels like a relief of like, okay, we've scored, good drive. With these two teams, I felt like every time someone didn't score, it's like a miracle where the defense is like, oh my God, we finally held them. And yeah, it was one of the best offensive games I've seen since that Rams-Chiefs game all those years ago, I think.
Yeah, this is kind of like the apex of what offenses look like. Because, if you look at the box scores, they're actually completely different as well. Where you look back now on, like, obviously we're talking Tuesday afternoon, and you're surprised that Lamar only threw for 209 yards. It felt like more than that, but then obviously the Ravens' ground attack was just unstoppable. Basically, you can see why you'd only drop Lamar back 19 times when you're doing that. A couple of bad sacks, by the way, that Lamar took at like quite key times. Like you said, it feels a shock when something doesn't end in a touchdown or a minimum like a field goal, doesn't it? It really felt shocking. I think what's quite funny is I saw someone tweet, because I was watching this in the airport, and I was just on Twitter, one of the that I follow was like, these teams play a different sport to what my team played at 6 p.m. And it does kind of feel like that at times. Obviously, the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. It doesn't always look like this for Philadelphia. I know that. Especially didn't Thursday night. And it just, nothing seemed that difficult for these two, did it at all? So apart from when you move over to defense, of course, that was quite difficult at times.
Yeah, I think that's why these Super Bowls are always odd. The Chiefs have been a lot of them, but the NFC, AFC, you come from playing games in the AFC where it's like stop the quarterback, but your quarterback will probably score on most drives as well. Like if you're Mahomes, Allen, or Lamar, it's like we'll probably score on most drives. We've just got to stop them once, and we might win the game. Because when you go to the NFC, these better teams, as in like the Eagles, for example, the 49ers of the past, their defenses have been so good that you're a bit like, the games are totally different. It's more ball control. It's more, you might have 5 drives in a row when no one scores a point. Whereas when the AFC teams play each other, it just feels like maybe the defenses are weaker, but the quarterbacks are so strong. Like you said, it's a different sport. Whose defense are you more worried about? They both conceded in the 40s.
Baltimore, I think, with having more talent on there. Did this last season, though, if you remember, they kind of booked their ideas up second half of the season. Obviously, Buffalo got kind of little injuries. But for me, Baltimore, thought Roquan Smith was not good. I remember I bigged him up about 3 weeks ago. He was not good at all. He got caught in coverage quite a lot if you go back and watch that. So he was, probably Baltimore I'd worry about overall. I would say throughout, I follow so many fans of every team, and there's been a bit of a crash out, to be honest with you, from the Ravens fans this week. I know that they've thrown away a lot of double-digit wins under Jim Harbaugh. I personally wouldn't watch this game and worry, because we're going to be there in January, right? We just have to hope that the defense is kind of locked in for them. I know a lot of it's about the 4th and 2 when they punted it as well, to Buffalo allowing that last try.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Obviously, they're in field goal range already, but they probably haven't got an opportunity to bleed the clock there, so you probably might get the ball back if you're lucky. But knowing new version of McDermott with Josh Allen, I don't think they give you the ball back anyway. I think they bleed it out regardless. But I think the Ravens probably should have gone for it. I'd want Mahomes and Reed to go for it, but they wouldn't. But I probably would want them to go for it. What do you think of Sirianni? Probably goes for it as well, to be honest. Nick
Sirianni go for it. I'm just going to say that Baltimore averaged 8.6 yards per play. You got Lamar and you got Derrick Henry. You figure something out to get 2 yards on that play. Well, Reed option, I think, would most likely get you 2 yards, and then you go from there and most likely win the game, don't you?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I heard on 2 different pods, so the Athletic pod and then the Ringer had a Ravens fan on, actually, called Mallory Rubin, who's really, really funny to listen to. And they were talking about 2 different things. And the Athletic guys were saying that the biggest issue for them is maybe their only concern. They're not worried like you about Harbaugh and this weird record, because they have got a weird record with these big leads in recent years. Their worry was a bit more Todd Monken. He did this against the Chiefs as well, where he ran it just up the middle, 1st and 2nd down in that AFC title game, and then they got sacked on 3rd down, and 4th down was an interception. And this time, obviously, it was 2nd down. He ran it, rather than keeping Lamar's hand, they ran a jet sweep to Dave Flowers, and he got like 1 yard. And they were like, I don't like the idea of taking the ball out of Lamar's hands on. I think Henry maybe ran it on 1st down, so he's had both plays where they've taken it out of Lamar's hand. And then he has to drop back on 3rd and 10, and he gets sacked, and then there's a punt. What do you think about that? I kind of see that point, because if you're aggressive in the first 3 quarters, it's a bit tricky to then just pull a jet sweep. But then if you're Monk and you're like, hang on, I did dump off to Zay Flowers 20 minutes ago, and he scored a 60-yard run. So it's difficult. But where do you sit on that argument of Monk being not aggressive enough?
Yeah, I agree, because you're taking the ball at the most critical time out of your best player's hand, right? That's what you never want to do, is it? This is why the position is the most important in sports. And if that is your best player, then you let him decide what he is going to do with that ball to get those couple of yards, don't you? So, I'm fully with that.
And then Mallory was basically saying how cursed the Ravens are, which is funny. And how she puts it down, probably just a bad luck, which I probably think is the truth. Because at the start, Lamar was fumbling and throwing interceptions. Now in these big games, he's playing incredibly well, and Derrick Henry fumbles. Andrews had the drop in the last game. Harbaugh is pretty aggressive in general. Maybe it's the fact he's not a play caller, so maybe he's aggressive, but maybe his play callers aren't. I'm not sure. But I personally say it probably is a bit of luck now. Lamar's kind of sorted his playoff issues out. But where do you sit on that? Because like the Ravens fan was saying, it's not Lamar anymore. It's really just completely random.
Yeah, I'd say that, especially with Henry's couple of kind of issues that he's had recently. One thing I would say to that, though, is it's only week 1. And if my team had played like that, I'm thinking Super Bowl. I would be quite happy to play like that in an AFC title game and take my luck on defense for 40 points, God knows how many rush yards, and think we're going to go to the Super Bowl with that. Probably one time ever that you watched a week one team get beat and think, yeah, for me, that was my pick the other week for the Super Bowl, and I feel quite happy about that. Just sitting there and having watched that game. So, yeah, a little bit of random bad luck going against us. That doesn't really worry me at all.
Yeah, I say I'm going to get fed up of the 17 weeks of everyone telling me all my podcasts I listen to that this is the game we have to see in the AFC.
That's
non-stop.
TV.
Non-stop. I can't blame them after Friday night, but we might talk about that game later on. Anything else you want to mention on this? Like, we probably haven't mentioned obviously how good Josh Allen was, in this rivalry game. We had that stupid fan with the whole Lamar Jackson issue. These two quarterbacks are kind of like rivals in the regular season now with the whole MVP discussion. But he throws for 394, 2 touchdowns. I think he rushed him 1 or 2. Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 30 yards. Of those 30 yards, 3 of them were first downs as well on third down. Feels like he had the stronger performance for me. I think, yeah. Again, when I watch the game, I agree with you on the Ravens, but I just sit back and I'm like, this is why I think Josh and Mahomes are the best players, because I just look at the players that Lamar plays with and I'm like, they are so good. When I look at the names on this, I've got Keon Coleman, 8 for 112, Kincaid, 4 for 48, Elijah Moore's having an end around, Ty Johnson's his third down running back. I'm like, Josh Allen, I think, for me, is just incredible putting these numbers up with these players.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what you just said a minute ago about everyone saying, see the Ravens in Bills and an AFC title game. I saw so many tweets. I mean, rightly so, these performances. He is incredible, saying this is Josh Allen's league now. And I was just saying, you've got to get to the Super Bowl. You can't, you're no one's league until you've actually got there and won it. So he's got to do that. But I mean, he's just incredible. Right? It's just him and Mahomes just kind of sat there at the top. Amazing to see, if you go back and watch his rookie year, he was like bottom 3 in the league. This is like the biggest rise we've probably ever seen in
They perfected the offense around him now. They've taken a few years to do it, and Joe Brady's really perfected it of what it looks like. But yeah, 2 fun teams. Big win for the Bills. Bills have got an easy schedule, so this sets them up for 1 seed territory. If you look at the next 9-10 games, it's till they play the Chiefs, which they normally always beat the Chiefs as well in the regular season. Their schedule's dead easy compared to the Ravens. The Ravens is much more difficult. So I'm sure we'll be talking about both of these 2 teams in the coming weeks. Let's move on to shock of the week then. What was your biggest shock of week 1?
Well, I'm coming down a little bit in quarterback play here because from that game, my biggest shock of the week was probably kind of the performance put up by the Patriots, I would say, because not only was it me and you who had picked them to improve, but I've been listening to a lot of stuff and watching a lot of stuff, and they were like, that's a sneaky 7th seed in the AFC. And I'll be honest, outplayed, outcoached by the Raiders. The oldest coach pretty much now in NFL history. Now he's gone past his birthday again, I think, Pete Carroll. But the Raiders look good. By the way, no offensive line help in the run game. That was absolutely terrible. But Geno looked good and looks like he's made them a competent NFL team at quarterback. But my shock was the disappointment in New England, I think. The run game, don't understand that. I would have never have expected 12 carries between Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. That was, for me, that game plan is dropping May 46 times. Is the Patriots were winning at halftime. Do you know
it's against Raiders' defensive line. It's not against it's not even against who's got a good run stop and the Broncos. It's such a weird decision.
Yeah, that for me was really surprising actually and disappointing, but take nothing away from Vegas. Geno Smith looked really good. He looks a good signing.
Yeah, that was one of my takeaways. I think their offense looks good. Brock Bowers, by the way. Annoying for me to have to say this with one of my favorite players is, but he's just by far the best tight end in the NFL now, isn't he? It's just like,
it's not even close, is it?
He is like watching Kelsey probably 5 years ago, but he's probably a better blocker. So it's like, again, he might not do it for 10 seasons in a row, but yeah, he is just absolutely incredible. He got injured in the third quarter, I think, and still put up 103 yards. It's absolutely mental. Yeah, Geno was great, by the way. I think across the NFL in that slate, I think they played at 6. There was 3 5 other big time throws over 15 yards per throw across all the other games. He had 7 on his own in this game. Like, he was just slinging it, and I think that might say something about the Patriots defense. Yeah, again, it's what he was known for, aggressive. He's got the playmakers here. The offensive line's obviously not great, but I think it is better than what he had in Seattle last season. So I think he looks great. Bowers looks great. I'm slightly worried. I'll say it early. I hope it'll work out. I don't want to get Genty, Leonard Fournette vibes. That's what I don't want. I don't want that 19 carries for 38 yards. I haven't watched the All 22 to know if they just sold out on every play to stop the run. Maybe they did, but yeah, I'm a bit worried about Leonard Fournette vibes, to be honest.
Yeah, I hope not. Obviously, I remember Fournette went 4th overall, I think. And I don't want that. Good touchdown run, obviously, because he got stuffed at the line, didn't he? I think something I read that Genty was he got 38 yards rushing, I think that, but he got 45 yards rushing after contact, which is obviously absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, the numbers don't match up because he lost yards on other plays, but it's just that for me may give me a little bit of hope that the talent is there, but maybe the line and the scheme right now is not great. But we're going to find out, aren't we? I think it would be the biggest disappointment for a while for that position if he was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, and I just think he might not even be underwhelming either, but they might just run him so much as well that it's a bit too much.
It feels like it is.
Yeah, that's the concern with, because Pete Carroll bloody loves to run it. But hopefully, like you said, that I didn't know that stat. That tells you all you need to know about the offensive line, get him killed in the run game. So hopefully they can improve that. Because Jacoby Myers was good as well in this game. I know we mentioned about the game plan. May didn't play well either. As someone who loves Drake May, I'm super high on him for the future. I thought he played pretty poorly actually in himself as well. Made some bad decisions. Kind of gets sacked when he shouldn't. Threw a couple of really bad passes behind receivers. Didn't kind of, to me, look comfortable at all in the game. So I hope it's just an early season thing. But I was a bit worried, even if you ignore the game plan not being very good, I don't think he actually played well himself either.
No, I would agree with you. A lot of forcing the ball, I felt, in some spots. And when Diggs was okay, right? It's 6 for 57. But I mean, anytime Kayshon Boutte, I'm not sure whether Boutte's just had some kind of revolutionary change in the offseason or what. But when he's your top guy at 103 yards, it maybe tells the tale that, it may force it a little bit. But tweak the game plan, I think, will just help him so much.
Yeah, Henderson, needs to be utilised more, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Cool. On to my shock then of the week. I didn't know where to go with this. There's a big defeat we might talk about in a bit that was shocking in one way, but it wasn't. So I've gone for a different game. I've gone for Monday Night Football. So last night's game, Vikings beat the Bears 27-24. I picked the Vikings. We said it'd be close. So the result isn't the shock, but the way it came about for me is the shock. The Vikings and JJ McCarthy scored 21 points in a row in the fourth quarter to come back from this. He looked absolutely awful in the first half. Second half, Jordan Mason gets a couple of run goings. He looks much more comfortable. Had 2 really good play action shots. Obviously had the rushing touchdown as well, where I thought he looked really good, looked quite spry. So that's my surprise. Is like, not saying he played great. The first half wasn't great, but the comeback, the ability for basically a rookie to do that on the road, score those points. I think that was the biggest shock. If you'd have told me the score was what it was at the end of the third quarter, I'd say they'd probably, get blown out. But he comes back and wins the game.
I actually think you could do a full episode on this game, the storylines, the implications, and everything. Because I'm with you. I watched it this morning in full before I went to work, and as I was watching it, I was thinking there's going to be a lot of sad Vikings fans on my timeline because I know it's all hope is on McCarthy. I mean, he looked abysmal, right, for 2
First half was so bad.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. But I can't think of a better fourth quarter kind of comeback from a rookie. His first ever NFL game as well. Some of the throws were pretty spectacular, to be honest. And moderate help from elsewhere because the run game wasn't great. I know Mason popped a couple off, but overall, like you said, what a great comeback performance for him. He's only ever lost 3 times still in his whole football career, which I've seen bandied around a lot today. I'm sure that'll increase as the season goes along, but I feel like there's a lot to talk about there with the Bears.
It's almost the opposite way around to me. How good did they look in that was it that first or second drive, maybe? And then after that, it was like downhill quite rapidly.
I mean, it was sort of rapid. It was so vertical. It was almost the fall off was that quick, weren't it? I mean, Caleb made some really good throws, but then as the game goes on, I feel like the decision making and just everything is just really off. The game plan I felt was quite strange as well. He actually looked good. Caleb also looked sprightly. He got rushing touchdown, didn't he, as well? But only one running back for the Bears got a touch of the ball. Obviously, Swift, 17 touches, 3 yards. I mean, he's not been great for a few years now. That, for me, feels like a strange decision, to be honest. I know they got a couple of kind of sweeps going with DJ Moore, but didn't look like what I was expecting it to look like. And I don't think that helped close the game out as it got into the second half, where you kind of just make some smart decisions and then kind of get out of it with the win. So it was not sure what to make of the Bears at the moment. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a big talking point this season.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Obviously, the coach is a big talking point with his scheme and stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be on Caleb. Nothing really worked. The Burden plays didn't work. Didn't get the tight ends involved as much as you think. Obviously, you can't just judge him off one team when he was with the Lions, but their whole approach of running it with different players to keep people fresh and different types of runs, which was not the case in this game. Almost every run looked the same as well. Again, I haven't watched the 22 to know whether it was duo, counter, inside zone, whatever, but just watching the highlights, the extended highlights, was like, it just looks the same to me. Every time he runs, there's a bit of a concern. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about Caleb. We'll see. But yeah, not the start they wanted.
Bears Lions, by the way, this coming
Revenge
week.
game.
That is an insane game considering both need a win already.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, big win for the Vikings. Always good to win when they don't play well. Jordan Mason, by the way, I didn't expect him to be as. I knew he'd be they traded for him and a big important addition. But Aaron Jones only got 8 carries. He got 15. Yeah. Everyone's always said Jones is a bit like Tony Pollard. He's better when he's not quite that main guy. But I didn't think it would be that level, 15-8. So Mason's probably going to be big for fantasy football, it looks like, this year.
Yeah, it looks a good pickup, right, from the 49ers now, doesn't he?
Yeah, because it was only a 4th or 5th. It wasn't a big...
Yeah, it was nothing.
It wasn't a big trade. And they should even get better as well, right? They've got Addison to come back. Adam Thielen's barely practiced. He only had that one target where he dropped it, I think, on 3rd down. So, yeah, it was the atmosphere was great, the noise, but then that soon dwindled towards the 3rd and 4th quarter. Cool. On to the next category then. Your category, the hot seat. Who's in your hot seat this week? There's definitely 2 names in my head that I think you're going to choose between, but I'm interested to see where you go.
Having known me now for about 4 years, I'd be shocked if you don't think that after this, I would not choose Mike McDaniel, because, I mean, he has been getting it, by the way, on TV in the US. He has been getting it, and rightly so, to be honest, because I've seen that so many Dolphin fans have already kind of booted the season. People love to overreact, right? I'm sure that you felt like maybe you wanted to overreact about the Chiefs getting beat in week 1.
To overreact? Read my Twitter. I've cancelled my flights to New York based off that performance.
But Miami, they look dead in the water already, because, and you know what? Great for Indianapolis, great for Daniel Jones. Don't think they're very good at all, to be honest with you. Maybe 8-9 wins. They're not going to blow the doors off everyone like they did to Miami, who were quite pathetic, actually. If you go back, you can't really remember many as bad performances in week 1. They looked unprepared. They looked really soft on defense. I don't know if you've seen Rex Ryan, by the way, going in on McDaniel. Obviously, he does that show on ESPN or whatever it is, and he was calling him Nerd Boy in there, and I just thought, so it was actually really funny, but it feels harsh at the same time. But probably because Rex has not got a job anymore, but
he wants one as well.
Time has moved on, but they just look unprepared. Tua, that was the worst he's ever looked. Also, by the way, the dysfunction feels there. They look terrible on defense. I mean, it's hard to see a way back early in the season, to be honest with you, because Tua looks so bad that it doesn't look easily fixable. Like, the accuracy was just ridiculously bad.
No, and I picked the Colts first, like Steichen first coach fired. You know, a lot of people have them in the top 5 of the draft order. If this was the Bills, I'd be a bit like, but it's the Colts.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones, and with a new DC and Steichen who's fighting for his job as well. So yeah, you're right. I agree. The head coach is in a world of trouble. A podcast I listened to called him Mike McDungeons and Dragons, which is making me laugh. But yeah, no surprise Rex isn't a big fan. But yeah, they look underprepared. I can't remember there was one example where they were. I can't remember the scenario now. I'll think about it next time. But they weren't prepared for a walk-off field goal or for a. Oh no, sorry. There was a play where the ref didn't give a catch, and it was miles in bounds, 2 feet in bounds. Everyone knew it. The commentators like, oh, they'll challenge this. This will be easy. It's third down as well, and he just punted it. He didn't challenge it, and they were like, I'm not sure how you don't have a coach on the staff who hasn't got an iPad that tells you to challenge that. They just feel so underprepared. And I know that's a stupid example, but it summed up the whole game where it's just like, oh, I just think they weren't well prepared. Did you hear Xavier Howard, their ex-corner? Did you hear what he said today in the
Not
press?
seen that. No.
No, he said, well, we know what Tua's like. If you take away his first read, he'll sit there and panic and he'll throw the ball to you instead of the offense. And I was like, if anyone could sum up my opinion of a player more that I've probably been looked like I was wrong about because of how good the offense has been. Like that was it. That was their whole game plan was like we have to obviously they don't know what the first read is. They have to watch film and educate guests, but they obviously got it right. But yeah, he was just holding the ball. The interceptions, 2 of them were terrible. And my pick for Tyreek Hill to be traded mid-season looks good, by the way.
Does look good. He was not happy at all. So yeah.
No. Xavier Worthy's hurt his shoulder. Feels like, might be written in the stars on that one, but we'll see. And a shout out, we don't talk about fantasy football too much, but shout out to Jalen Waddle for just continuing to ruin every fantasy season I have. I pick him every other year, and it doesn't matter when I pick him, he's awful. And yeah, he went out with an arm injury, then he came back, then he went out, then he came back. So yeah, not a good week for Miami. What's your thoughts on the Colts, though? Obviously, the positive side of this, we got the hot seat, but Daniel Jones, I don't think he played great when I watched it live, but the numbers speak for themselves, and the defense obviously dominated. So is this a great win for the Colts as well, or is this just they just got the right team on the right day?
You got to give the props in Indianapolis. They won't care about Miami. They're only going to play who's on their schedule, and you come out in week 1 at home and do that. All kind of power to you. We'll see this week. They got Denver, obviously a more stout defense, not an electric offense, but I mentioned that in the 10 minutes slot. But yeah, interesting. Colts work in progress. Great start. Positive for Daniel Jones. He will have felt like he needed that game. Obviously, with the quarterback battle with Richardson that's going along, and who knows when he may come back in after a couple of bad games from Jones. So he needed that, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he did. 100% he did. Cool. Again, we're going to go around the rest of the NFL then in 10 minutes. Again, we're not going to touch on every game every week, but just some key ones that I think is worth mentioning, and then hand over to Patrick for any that we've missed that have big storylines on. I wanted to start with the Packers beating the Lions quite easily, to be honest. 27-13. It's probably a little bit more dominant than that. They controlled the line of scrimmage. Micah Parsons looked incredibly good. The Lions, could barely move the ball in the first half. The offensive line didn't look great, and it was the worst rushing success the Lions have had in any game in the last 3 seasons. Yeah, so my question to you is: great win for the Packers or bad loss for the Lions?
Yeah, great win for the Packers. Obviously, they look really good. They look like gearing out to be a complete football team in the NFC. But if we were doing a top 3 hot seat, how would you not put Dan Campbell on even just this one game of the season? Obviously, the season ended horrifically last year and has started really, really badly as well. So the window for obviously Detroit's kind of getting to the Super Bowl felt wide open last year. Feels a little more narrow now, obviously, doesn't it, with replacing both coordinators? I think that's a big story to watch, and how they respond in the next kind of few weeks is going to tell how their season's going to go, really, because this was a beating, by the way. It was nowhere near as close as 14 points.
They completely dominated the line of scrimmage, the Packers.
Yeah.
They completely dominated the line of scrimmage. We said it in the preview, it's the coordinators and it's the interior offensive line. I think the interior offensive line was just an obvious issue in this game. Yeah. Again, you're going against a good pass rush, but they're not. Parsons is incredible, but they're not filled with 5 amazing pass rushers, and the Lions really did struggle in this game. So we'll see what the next few weeks look like. If they come out next week and lose to the Bears and Ben Johnson, that puts them in a bit of a difficult position.
That's a great game, on Sunday. That
is. And like 5 years later, you can finally say you're right about Dan Campbell, maybe, but we'll see. That's not chickens, yeah. Next game, quickly as we go around. Commanders beat the Giants 21-6. Not the greatest game. I think Jane Daniels looked quite good. The run game was a bit up and down for them. But my main observations are Debo doesn't look fat. What was all the... Looks great. Looks fast. And Russell Wilson does not look good. Does not look fast. There's already calls for Russell Wilson to be replaced. They've had to name him as the starter for week 2, which might be the earliest I've ever seen a team have to name a starter. But yeah, a good win for the Commanders. I don't think they played great, but they got done what they needed to. But if they don't make a change at quarterback, I know the Commanders are good, but this could be another top 5 pick for the Giants. I know we don't want to overreact from week 1, but we have to give opinions. And yeah, it didn't look good for me, mate.
What I don't understand is teams are going to keep picking up Russ, right, to do this. We know his escapability from the pocket is gone. And that was a huge part of his game when he was incredible at Seattle. And that has just completely wiped out, to be honest. And I'd be worried if I was him. I think he'll get week 2. I do think he'll get week 2, but I'm not sure after that. It looked like how you would expect Russell Wilson in 2025's offense to look like. He's not great for Malik Neighbors, by the way, is it? He still managed to scrape up 71 yards from kind of Russell Wilson. The ground game with Tracy also was really bad. Yeah, good start for the Commanders. They'll just take the victory, right, and move on.
Yeah, some hospital passes as well. I felt like in this game, to be honest, to Neighbors in particular. Last thing for me on my list, anyway, and then we can finish it with you. Buccaneers 23, Falcons 20. A missed kick to send their game into overtime in the NFC South is the perfect way to start week 1. But Emeka Egbuka, incredible throw from Baker Mayfield, incredible throw. But he looks as good as Egbuka as all the hype's been throughout the offseason. And that excited me going forwards because I think, again, if they can fix a few things in the run game and the offensive line stays healthy, I think they could be really good. But Egbuka, the throw from Baker, and then the kicker obviously missing a kick in the NFC South just is perfect, I think.
Yeah, Koo missing that was not good. But Baker, I mean, not his greatest game, but to be able to kind of pull those throws out towards the end is just clutch, and you love seeing his career arc. It's just great. It was great. This is a bad loss for Atlanta because you need this already for the division. Bucs have won kind of 4 in a row, and it felt like Penix, by the way, looked okay. Didn't he? Did you not think he looked okay? I don't think Bijan 12 carries for 24 yards is going to be the way that Falcons win any games this season.
That catch was good though, and run, wasn't it?
Oh, that was incredible. Yeah, that was the first touchdown of the day, wasn't it, on red zone? But he's going to have to get better on the ground, I think, that run game, because Algier was only just over 2 yards as well. But amazing start for the Bucs on the road in that division. That it feels like a big win.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the NFL. It's, clearly as I've gotten a bit older, it's my favorite sport. And if anything could sum up like bad American football teams and just the way it works, it felt like the Falcons had an hour to score a touchdown at the end of that game where they had the ball in the red zone just over and over again. They just could not get it done.
It's really difficult to not score, by the way, when you're in the red zone for so long. It's so hard on the defense.
Continually, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. Although, going back to the other game, that crazy stat, I don't know if you've seen it, the Giants had 8 plays from the 1-yard line. 7 didn't work, so they had to kick a field goal on the 8th. And it's just like, that's a disaster. But there we go. We've got 2 minutes left of our Around the NFL in 10 minutes. Any other score or game or performance you wanted to highlight to the people listening?
Yeah, I'll give you a big throw from Brock Purdy to win it. It was an up and down game from Purdy. Obviously, 49ers beat Seahawks 17-13 in quite an odd game, which might sum up both teams, to be honest. Not the juggernaut NFC West battle that we've seen right in the past few years, but he made up for an off day with a big throw and catch at the end. And Ricky Pearsall also looked good for San Francisco, who lost George Kittle, by the way. It looks to be at least 4 weeks for Kittle, so that was a shame. That
is a shame, yeah. CMC as well, after the news of him getting hurt again the bloody last day, the day of the first game of the year. And he gets like 120 odd all-purpose yards. So
yeah, pretty sure he had 31 touches, which is they go all in, don't they, on CMC and ride him until he's not there.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan cannot help himself. I listened to a fantasy football pod that said he's injured. The game's not going great. He's been hurt all week. You've He's had 20 odd touches by this point. They had 2 3rd and 12s or more where they ran a draw play for him to get absolutely smashed for 2 yards twice. Where they were like, oh, we're not going to get the first down. Let's just run a draw. But rather than put the backup in, they just make CMC get nailed by Leonard Williams. And it's just like, Kyle Shanahan can't help himself. Yeah. 30 seconds left of our 10 minutes. I'm going to deliberately try and not mention my team. Texans, Rams.
Can I mention one thing, which is the worst uniform matchup I can remember, which is the Saints' absolutely terrible jersey against the Cardinals' white jersey, and that should have never have been mixed. It was a bad game, but Arizona got out of there with a win, and the Saints looked like what you thought they were going to look like.
The yellow did not look good. I thought Spencer Rattler was going to score a game-time touchdown as well, and just couldn't quite do it in those the piss yellow.
Awful jersey.
I was just going to quickly say, well, one to watch. We'd hope the Texans' offensive line is going to improve. Early indications from week 1 was not good. See how they fare on week 2 and onwards.
Yeah.
And that's it. Oh, have you got one more?
No, I was just about to say to you, just on the Rams and Texans game, hard to know whether that was 2 pretty good teams playing a low-scoring game or 2 teams that are about to look quite disappointing, because I didn't think the Rams looked great either.
No, both teams struggled to move the ball, to be honest. And the Rams had 2 offensive linemen in this game get high ankle sprains. So they're now going to miss time. And it's just like typical Matt Stafford. He just can't get a break with offensive line. But yeah, you're right. They'll be interested. I think they are 2 good defenses, for sure. But it's how good are those offenses in practicality. Devontae Adams looked good. Yeah, Puka was in and out again. It's like he is every week. It's just a disaster if you picked him in fantasy. Just half the snaps, he's in the medical tent. So it's a difficult one. But yeah, cool. That's it for our review pod. As Patrick alluded to earlier, we've recorded this on Tuesday. I think plan for the season is we are going to do our preview shows on Thursdays, where we will pick Thursday Night Football, but not go into depth because most people won't have a chance to listen to it. On Fridays, we are going to attempt to do a Thursday night recap for 10-15 minutes for the games, unless there's any duds. And then we'll actually be doing our review pods, hopefully on Mondays, where we review all the action from Sunday. And then if any Monday Night Football games are incredible, we might chuck in a Monday night recap. But the Thursday night schedule is a little bit stronger this year when we look to the games than the Monday night schedule. So that's our plan for this season. Apart from when we're going to New York, who knows what that will look like. That could just be me drunkenly recording from MetLife with a photo of Russell Wilson in my hands. Who knows? We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, it was a good week 1. Hope everyone enjoyed it. We've got a good slate definitely coming up for week 2. You can go follow us at Go42Pod on Twitter /X. Go follow Patrick as well at Mugs NFL to get your Jackson Dart mugs ready when he starts in week 3. Enjoy your week, everyone, and we will speak to you soon.
I'll speak to you soon, everyone.